Well, hello there, and welcome again to Prime Time, the programme for the more mature viewer, but who is still young at heart. I'll pass you over to Anne now, actually, who's going to talk to colleagues of hers, actually, on the sofa.
Yes, they certainly are, looking very nervous, but there's no need to be whatsoever. I'd like to welcome today Becky Jones and Jakob from North Somerset's Community Learning Team. And to be honest, it's part of North Somerset Council's very well-kept secret. But they work very hard out there in the community, setting up learning courses for all age groups, not just older people, but all age groups as well. And if you recall, we had someone from Hutton Friendship Society the other week who talked about computer classes for older people. Yeah. And that's something I'd like Jake to give us a little chat about, and how you're involved with setting up computer classes for older people, Jake.
Well, like you say, it's not limited solely to older people, but generally we'll have basic IT courses which will naturally appeal to the older generation, perhaps more so than the younger. So what we tend to do is distribute literature to various libraries and so on, and people will ring us up, want to do a course, find out about emailing and word processing and, you know, getting to grips with the digital age.
Absolutely.
That sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So I will then set up a course, get the tutor and everything, and hopefully we'll run a sort of 10-week course, and people will get a lot from it, hopefully.
And obviously some people want to do it because they might have bought themselves a laptop, and very often they haven't the faintest idea how they actually use it. Yeah. And I'm sure if they have far-flung family all over the world, they can then use it to
People often say this to us,
Absolutely.
yes. They want to, you know, use Skype or send photos of their grandchildren or receive photos and all that sort of thing. Yes, staying in touch is very much a focus of the older learners, I think, with their family and so on.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think it's very important for older people, if I may just intervene, actually, at this point, not to be frightened of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, actually, when you do get hold of it, it's a terrific release. I mean, my wife is a case in point. She's now 71. And for ages, she really didn't want to know anything about the computer. Then she discovered about emails. And now she's discovered about Facebook. She's on it all the time. What?
I think that's one of the main sort of messages of the course, generally, that, you know, you're not going to blow it up by pressing any buttons.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, give it a go, and, you know, things might go slightly wrong, but nothing to worry about. You know, you can always, you know, click the X and it'll go away quite often, which is good.
Absolutely. And I think, Becky, the idea about community learning courses is, obviously we go out and set them up in, can be anything from a village hall to sometimes in a school, depending on where you can get venues. But obviously it's important for people to realise it's their course, and it's very much a learner responsive situation, isn't it? You talk to them about what they actually want and try to respond to their needs rather than putting a structured course on for them.
Yeah, I mean, we do have sort of set courses that we do, and we do have our main focus is on people who most need to improve basic skills and that sort of thing. But if people can contribute to the cost of courses, we can pretty much run anything they want us to, as long as we've got, you know, a qualified tutor in that subject.
Absolutely.
And enough people interested, then we'll try and put it on where suits them best.
Absolutely. And of course, sadly, in this day and age, there is a small cost implication for people, isn't there, really?
Yeah, we have had, obviously, reduced funding like a lot of organisations, and so we do have to focus the funding we have got on those who need it most. But, you know, we also very much see the value of, you know, keeping active, carrying on learning right throughout life. So if we can organise things for people, we will.
Absolutely. I think it's important that it's not just you do one course and that's it. People very often, if they formed bonds with other people in the group, they may identify something that they want to then go on and do again as a group. So there's progression routes for people if that's what they want.
Yeah, we would encourage people to continue. Sometimes it's not even continuing with learning, it's just continuing meeting with the group that they met through their learning activity, coffee mornings, just socialising, people just getting out and about and being a bit more active,
Absolutely. And the tutors, of course, they're all fully qualified tutors, but sometimes, I think it's happened once or twice in the past, that you've had people who've been through a course and then come back and want to volunteer to help run the course.
Yeah, we've had people volunteering to help run courses, and some of them have then gone on and taken teaching qualifications. We actually have two computer tutors at the moment, don't we?
That's right, yes.
Stephen and Chris, who both came through initially on basic IT courses, then took an introduction to teaching course, and now do teaching for us.
Well, that's fantastic.
Fabulous.
Absolutely. And what other courses do you run, apart from computers? Is there anything particular on the prospectus or anything at the moment that you would recommend for older people? Is there any particular focus on what older people might like to do?
One of our really popular courses, and it's popular amongst older people and younger people, but sign language. We've got a fantastic sign language tutor. And we actually had a lady in March this year who was 88 years old who got an accreditation in sign language through our courses. Yeah,
that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and she's thoroughly enjoyed it, and also she's very hard of hearing, and she sort of said, well, this is sort of a contingency plan, so I've got this when my hearing is worsened.
Yeah.
So it's useful.
And I think that is important, because obviously as you get older, your faculties are not perhaps quite as good as they could be, and a lot of people as they get older do have hearing loss, and if they don't, a member of the family does, a partner. So if they can maybe together come along and do a class,
that's it.
basic sign language.
Yeah, quite often have people who are learning because they've got a relative or a friend who's got hearing loss issues. Yeah,
absolutely.
And couples as well, where one or other of them is, becoming more hard of hearing, and just to make sure they can still keep the conversation up, communication.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good.
Absolutely. So are all the courses for older people, are they all, for want of a better word, classroom-based, or are there any more active pursuits? Because obviously we try all the time, not just to have the nurturing bit and the social bit, but the physically active bit as well. So are there any courses that you've run that perhaps focus a bit more on that?
We've had some that include more sort of activities. We've had a sort of healthy lifestyles that included sort of gentle exercise and, sort of getting out and about. I mean, sort of mixed courses. But, if people wanted to do a sort of dancing activity or a cooking activity or, whatever they fancied, we'd try and run for them.
Right, so if people have been watching previous programmes and they've seen Zumba or Tai Chi or something like that, and there's a group of them who might be interested in doing that, if they look up the contact details at the end of the programme and want to have a chat about it, then you may be able to do something for them.
Yeah, if we had sufficient interest, and again, if they're not our target learners, our most sort of needy, we would be looking for a contribution.
Sure,
to costs.
Of course.
But yeah, if we could work something out, by all means, get in touch with us, and we'll see what we can do.
Well, and of course, actually, the gentleman who's going to follow you onto the sofa is going to come and talk about folk dancing down in Weston. But anyway, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So, if people fancy doing folk dancing, then get in touch with Community Learning. See what we might be able to do about it. You never know. Well, thank you very much indeed. It's good to talk to you and hear about all you can get out there and do in the community for people. So hopefully there'll be lots of people getting in touch. We're going to a break now, and we'll be back afterwards, as Matthew has already said, with a gentleman who's going to tell us all about folk dancing. In the meantime, thank you both very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our aim is to create and transform the dream
of owning and enjoying a leisure vehicle
into our reality.
This means that every single customer gets treated as an individual.
As part of the Dayvan family.
Well, hello there. We're back again now, and sitting on the sofa now is Ian Ludbrook.
That's right.
And Ian's going to come and talk to us about folk dancing in Weston.
Yes.
I was very intrigued, actually, when I heard that was one of the things that was coming up today, because it's something that was in my background, and particularly in my youth. And I went to grammar school in Aylesbury in Buckinghamshire, and we had a very enthusiastic young teacher who played the accordion. I gather you played the accordion as well.
Slightly, yes.
Yeah. Who got a whole load of us going and involved in Morris dancing at one point. Mm-hmm. And we were members of the Whitchurch Morris men. Tell me about what you do in Weston, and how many young members do you have?
Well, I started off dancing when I came to Weston, like you, at school.
Yeah.
Little Morris team within the school and folk dance group, and going out to the church halls and dancing and entertaining the more mature person.
Sure.
I think our age group hate the word old.
Absolutely,
We're
with a
not
passion.
old. We're young.
Young at heart.
Young at heart.
Quite right.
Still got energy, can move and do that. And then I joined Western Folk Dance Club.
Right.
And over the years, I've held several positions with them. I was treasurer for a few years, secretary for a few years, and had a little gap and came back, and now I'm their chairman.
Right.
And we meet at Corpus Christi Hall on a Tuesday evening from 8 till 10, from September through to July, the end of July. So that's plenty of dancing there. I also do run the U3A folk dance group, which is an organisation aimed at people that retire. Yes, that's right. And so I now do their folk dance group. And I do say to them, if you can't gallop down the middle, you can walk down, walk back, because that's fine. And the thing is, while you're practising these dances, you're keeping the traditions alive, because all these dances were collected from little villages all around the England, by a gentleman called Cecil Sharp.
Oh, my grandfather knew him.
Yes, yes, and several groups that are organised locally, all belonging or affiliated to the English Folk Dance and Song Society, which has their headquarters at Cecil Sharp House in London as well.
I think people don't know now quite how big a movement that was. I mean, it was an enormous movement, particularly before World War II. You know, I mean, particularly in the 20s and the 30s, it was if you go to composers like Vaughan Williams and that whole range of composers, they all embodied English folk songs, folk tunes in their music. It was a very big movement, and I mean, I grew up in the immediate post-war period, but even in my day, there were hundreds of people doing it.
Yes.
And my mother was very keen on country dancing.
That's right.
And off we went to do country dancing.
That's right. Yes, country dancing was the older title. I think we now prefer to call it folk dancing. But I teach everything from the original country dance scene right through to some of the dances which went over to America, got changed slightly, came back. Because it went over with the Pilgrim Fathers. Yes, way back then.
Fantastic.
I also teach the Jane Austen period of dances, which are classically termed Playford, purely because Playford was one of the great writers and printers of the day in the 18th century, and they were printing the manuscripts out for the dancing masters.
Oh, fantastic!
So yes, the Jane Austen period. I'll teach all those dances, and I quite enjoy it. The music is superb, and although they're slightly slower than some of the average country dance or folk dance, it has relevance, and they do move. You know, despite all the costumes that they must have had with the full skirts and that, they really did move and let their hair down. Certainly, when the balls were on in the pump rooms and the assembly rooms at Bath, we've all seen them in Pride and Prejudice and Jane Austen periods.
Absolutely.
Usually what happens is somebody says, did you see it? What was the dance they did last Saturday night, when the show was on? And if I've seen it, 9 times out of 10, I can tell them what it is. Although it has been changed slightly to make it easier for the actors. Because there's certain movements that just happens once. And one in Jane Austen in particular, they did Mr. Beveridge's Maggot, and they started at the top and they cast into the middle, and they kept going, casting down and moving down the line, which doesn't happen in the dance. You do the dance with one couple, pass on, do it with the next one and pass on. But they have this swirling movement to get to the bottom.
Wow.
But it's fantastic because it's keeping the music alive. It's keeping the dancing alive. And it's bringing everything to the forefront.
Absolutely. So the music is every bit as important as the steps of the dance. Of course it is. Absolutely.
Yes.
Can I say people... Just so that, people are not going to be intimidated by coming, are they?
No.
I mean, you will start with absolute beginners.
Absolute. I mean, I'm used to dealing with beginners because I'll go out and I'll do PTA barn dances and things. So, and the thing is, people are there to have a good time. So if they go wrong, they go wrong. But within the dance clubs, you do try and develop them and bring them on. And I think that's important. But you've got to keep the fun element there. It's not a case of you're going to a dance and you learn that dance, and if you get it wrong, somebody's going to shout at you. Nobody in the folk world is going to shout at you. And that happens with the other organisation I belong to, the Camping and Caravan Club folk section in the southwest, and we hold rallies every month through the summer months, and we meet up.
Great.
Anything from 20 to 30 caravans meet up. We have a folk dance every evening. There's live music and a band.
Great.
So
there's a real social element.
Real
to it as well.
social element.
Nice to hear.
You get a bit of free time.
Yeah.
And some of the ladies do craft work during the afternoons as well on the hot
Sounds
summer's day.
lovely.
It's fun.
It sounds
it's
wonderful.
fun. So there are different ways of doing folk dances, but we're lucky there's so much in Weston and so much that can be enjoyed.
Well, I'm really going to have to search this. I had no idea folk dance was so alive and well in the Western area, so I shall have to really have a good look at this.
Very strong and out in the area. I mean,
fantastic.
I'm very lucky and fortunate because I get invited to call on the English Folk Dance and Song Society circuit, and I'll go up to 2 clubs in Bristol, go down to Holsey Manor and teach down there, and Wiltshire, all round, wherever. And of course, with the caravan, we get further afield. Because
I was just about to ask: is there anywhere that does, I'll get my teeth in a minute, exhibition dancing of this kind of thing, or not? Is there
Mendip Morris is still going, which are basically exhibition. In the local club, we don't have an exhibition team anymore. We have had. Because with the Playford style dance and the Jane Austen type, we did have a group called The Assembly, which meets on a Thursday night in Weston, where they just concentrate on the period from the late 1700s through to the late 1800s. It's very specialised dancing. We did have a team then which used to go out to National Trust properties and to Killerton and
Durham Park.
Durham Park.
Yes.
We've been all around, wherever we're invited. Fantastic. So yes, it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's certainly kept me young and active, and
that's what we like to hear.
It.
That's what we like to hear on this
program. And it's all about that.
At the end of the programme, we will be putting up the details of how to contact you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you'd welcome some new members.
We always will. Well,
many as you like.
Yes, that's right.
And in the meantime, thank you very much for coming and talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Like Anne, I think, I didn't realise...
What a clue. No idea.
That was still alive and thriving. I had this feeling it was something to do with my past and it's probably died and, all of that. No, but it's great to know it's still alive and well and flourishing. Great.
We have over 40 members on the Tuesday night club.
Wow.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Yes. So,
fantastic.
Plenty of dancing.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much indeed. And thank all of you for joining us, and hopefully you'll be back again to see us soon.
Yeah, indeed. Next week, perhaps. Thank you.